Hey everyone, so we're here in the apple orchard today, and as you can see, we are picking apples. So I ordered from Amazon last fall, every one of the kids their own picker pole, and I've got my picker pole. Mine is a double pole with a connector, so I can get higher up into the trees. Yeah, we also have an orchard ladder, but the orchard ladder is not being used right now because I have got my hands full with these guys. And we've got baby in the front pack. I don't know if you can see him. I'm standing in the sun. He's sound asleep. Little Bethy helps us get the apples that we drop. And this apple tree produces like crazy. So last year was an off year and we didn't get as many apples. And I've been trying to diagnose some kind of a tree fungus that's been killing. Like this tree right here, it's a little one here in the front. Has been dying off ever since we moved here. And unfortunately I have seen it's now spreading to this tree. And I've lost a big limb of that. And this tree was stressed all year anyway. So that could have been a factor, but it hasn't been real densely covered with foliage like the others. So we picked off this side of the tree, and we're just hoping to get a few gallons of cider this year because the year before I had put up so much pie filling and applesauce that we're really actually kind of set for that. I could do still some more applesauce because we have kids, we have applesauce regularly. But the last batch of applesauce I made, I found that it was easier to not peel the apples. And Murdoch's my fussy one, you know that. He didn't like that the applesauce turned out pink or green. It's not as yellow. You are picking a lot. So this tree we know is a northern spy. And then we've got a few baby trees that we've planted that are recovering from the deer biting them the first year. We caged everything to keep them in. This one's a pear tree. Yeah. So I'm actually hoping to head out to some of the home improvement stores this afternoon or this weekend because we want to add some more fruit trees to the orchard. But these guys are being my handy pickers. And especially when the apples are this small, this tree always produces small apples. They're like 2-inch. They're best just to turn into cider because there's no peeling involved. The northern spies work great for pie filling. And then we just try to mix them up from all the trees. I think that these 3 trees, these 2 here and this one are the same. And they're sweet, so they're really good for cider and mixing with other things. Okay. Here we've got a peach tree that's done really well, and then a couple cherry trees. And I lost my one peach tree because the weed whacker really chewed it up. So I learned about covering their bases or the trunks with this black corrugated drain tile, and that's really helped a lot. Now you can see here I've got a couple of shoots growing. I can cut those off and put them in rooting hormone and get a couple of new apple trees. So we're going to try that. I actually had tried it last year, but without the rooting hormone. They just didn't take, and the deer came out and tore them out because I didn't try to put them in pots. So this year I'm going to put them in pots in a safer location so the deer don't get them. But yes, the deer like to come out here. There is deer poop everywhere, so you don't want to use what's on the ground because you can see here we have deer poop. And I'm actually telling the boys, we have this whole deck area with bushes that go down to our basement. I think they could sit out there with their guns and hunt the deer at night, and we can fill up some space in the freezer. Yeah, so we're gonna make up some cider. The spies do produce really big apples, don't they? Show us. I can't see.
Look at it.
That is big. Now that's not actually ready because it's still a little green.
Yeah.
The spies start to get that blush color.
Yeah.
And the more blush colored they are, the sweeter they are. The boys do like to, this is right by their play set, they like to stand up here and pick the apples and eat them. So I regularly find them and their sister eating apples from the yard. And we don't spray them, which is part of the problem with finding out what's wrong with, you know, whatever's infecting the trees. Because we don't want to lose more. But they tend to, the bark starts to peel. And sometimes there's like some white mold in it and then it just kind of dies off. So you can see this trunk had it at one point and then it kind of fought it. And the rest of it's looking fine. Doesn't look like it's spreading. But yeah, just parts of that bark start to lose. So it could be going to this tree. That right there is usually what I'm looking for, where the bark is splitting. So, yeah, maybe the extension service through the college could tell us what it is. We'll have to look into that. Also, I think you can take your apples to the extension service and they can tell you what kind they are. I've tried to just look from other apple orchards that we've gone to find out, and I think that these over here are called a pink lady or possibly even a gala. It's really hard to tell. And they're semi-dwarf, I think. They might not be. They're pretty tall trees. So it would be before all the dwarfing and semi-dwarf varieties were available. You think it's full? Well, they're going to grind down to not much. So that's probably about a gallon of cider there. We'll get as many in as we can. So I'm going to help the kids now, everybody. Little Bethany has bailed on us and she's in the sandbox. And we'll show you some cider. So from here, from the grinding, they go down into the 5-gallon bucket. And we have set up out here in the garage our antique cider press. Don't mind all the other messes. Things are always a mess out here, no matter what cleaning I did in it before. So we're making cider. And these tops were designed that you could put a 2x4 or an axe handle, even a good sized branch, to help you get the leverage you need to be able to turn it tighter. Now, without that, I was only able to get this press plate about halfway down. And this is slightly bigger than 5 gallons. They actually make a mesh bag for cider pressing that go in 5-gallon buckets. If you don't have that, yes, this episode is about the cider. Bethany just woke up from a little nap and Trey's been out farming. So we're trying to get a gallon of cider to make for Grandpa. Yep, we're having a birthday party for Grandpa tomorrow. We wanted to have some fresh cider. So I've got another 5-gallon bucket of crushed apples here. Some people call it mash. That's right. And we put the apples in there and we crush them. So in the past, I've made videos about the cider press before, but this is a Handy brand cast iron cider press with wood parts, and it's all original. It is possible. It sits really low to the ground, so to get a 5-gallon bucket underneath it, I have to use these 4x4s underneath it. They might be 6x6s to help raise it up to get a bucket underneath it. And you can see here my floor got a little wet. This is made from a tongue and groove board, and where my tongue and grooves are, it has some leaks. So I previously filled it in with just some wood glue and it's not staying, so I have to restore that. And I really just hate to put a replacement piece on that. I'm going to keep it, even if when I do. But you can line it with a garbage bag, but then I found when I did that, so when I did it with a garbage bag before, I found with the wrinkles and crinkles, a lot of times it would overflow off the bag and not go down the spout. This is square cut, and then the rest of it is cut out with a router. So it would be easy enough to do. It's just a matter of making the time to do it. So this is our apple cider making. And I'm going to, plus also I wanted to say, use a mixture of different apples. We have several different trees out there, and I'm using about 5 different varieties of apples to get some sweet and some sour and some in-between apples for this. Because then some are more juicy and some are just more pulpy and not hardly any juice at all. So then it gives me a good mix. And you want to clean this completely every time in between. That's why apple juice exists. If you don't want to worry about getting sick, you want to pasteurize it and then it becomes apple juice. The only difference between apple juice and apple cider here is the heat process. This is not hard cider. You don't get drunk from it. You can make hard cider out of it. And you can also save your mash that you take out of here to make apple cider vinegar. Okay, Becky, you're making me lose my train of thought. Yes. That's right. The year before I accidentally made apple cider vinegar because I had a bucket of cider that I thought I was going to get back to the next night and didn't, and it sat out here for a few days and started to ferment. So I saved it, and all this time I've been saving it in the gallon container and over time making apple cider vinegar. Because I saved it, I have the mother, and I can divide it between all the different buckets and get a big batch of apple cider vinegar going, which is really handy for lots of naturally curing ailments such as gallstones. So we'll do a video on that another time. Yes, chalk, chalk, chalk. All right, so that's our apple cider, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so Trey's doing some filming for us, and I just wanted to show you how this works. This is the pressing plate, and it's just blocks of wood. And then I have my bag full of apple chunks. Now this will go to the birds or the pigs. By birds, I mean chickens and ducks. And then I have my fresh bag right here ready. And you always want to have 2 or 3 buckets for this, because you're going to be grinding and pressing at the same time. And if you can get a double setup of this, that's always handy, because then you can grind at the same time. So now I switched my bag, and I've got my flywheel up here, or presser. I don't know exactly what it's called. I'm sure you'll tell me. So you just go by hand, and you don't push it down all at once. You do a little at a time. You see?
Yeah.
Okay. Trey's only 7, and he says he's not good at filming, but I think he can do it. He's good at all this homesteading and farming stuff. Okay, so I've got a little pressure on that bag. You can hear it running out. Now this is 15 gallons of apples so far. And it's probably about a bushel, maybe a bushel and a half of apples total. But after I grind it, it's 15 gallons. Now I'll let this sit here and drain out for about 5 minutes. And as you're grinding, you get a lot of juice too. Now I'm all done grinding for the day. So I'll leave this bag here, and I'll take that out to the pigs in the morning. So to keep any flies down, we're going to keep it covered. And then we'll just keep pressing this out, and we're going to probably have about 3 gallons when we're all done. So here's our cider, and it is delicious. So we're going to enjoy some of that with our party tomorrow, huh?
We're also going to maybe enjoy some of it with my tacos tonight.
Tacos and cider.